style of deck. He's not looking to get too fancy. I mean, the decks he plays they're interactive, they're disruptive, and they're fundamentally looking to attack. There's a lot of similarities with the decks that he tries to build and the decks that Brian Kibler builds. And it would be very weird to see Kibler with a Viscera Seer engine woven into his Knight of the Reliquary Brews.
So an Island and a Serum Visions to start there for Rudy. He kept his cards on top very quickly. I believe the cards he looked at were Pyroclasm and Remand. Wescoe with a Marsh Flats. Sacrifice had to get an Overgrown Tomb, not an Underground Tomb. Overgrown Tomb. Go to 17. Noble Hierarch pass the turn. Briksza, pretty simple turn of a Sulfur Falls and the passing of the turn back to Wescoe. Wescoe does have a discard spell in hand, an Inquisition of Kozilek. Perhaps he leads out with that. And he will. Looks like Briksza will play a Remand on that discard spell.
In an ideal world, not the type of card you're looking to remand. It's cheap, and it's disruptive towards the card you drew as well.
Pretty informative of Briksza trying to get towards something with that Remand.
Once again, Modern Masters Draft number 5. Your event is ready to begin.
Let's go with just the Plains. The follow-up is a Voice of Resurgence. He'll pass the turn back over to Briksza. Picked up a copy of Olivia Voldaren. Here comes Pyroclasm. That'll take care of the Voice and the Noble Hierarch. So an Elemental Token will be on the way here for Wescoe, and there that is. We'll pass the turn back over to Craig, who does have Inquisition in hand.
I really enjoy watching Wescoe play too, because even though he plays these seemingly straightforward creature beatdown decks, pace of play is very measured. He's very thoughtful. Doesn't give away anything in terms of body language at the table. I think it's a very important skill.
There's a Lightning Bolt to take care of the Elemental Token for Wescoe. Deceiver Exarch will be discarded. And you see Briksza's hand, he's left with a copy of Olivia Voldaren, an Island, and a Polluted Delta. Yeah, obviously
a little odd with the Lightning Bolt there. I feel like Deceiver Exarch has enough value that if Craig wants to take the Lightning Bolt, you're happy keeping the Exarch.
I think maybe make a decision on what card he wants to take.
Well, I mean, you rip Splinter Twin, maybe you're good to go. I guess if he's worried that Craig has a follow-up of a bunch of creatures, maybe that token gets out of control, but that felt slightly preemptive given that Deceiver Exarch seems like a valuable card to me.
I think what's always interesting from watching Craig play is he kind of plays these decks a little bit different than everybody else does, because if you think about it, he's been playing the same style of deck for what feels like 6, 7, 8 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always had success with it, which means he certainly knows what he's doing with this sort of archetype. There's a Thoughtseize to take care of the Olivia Voldaren, going to leave Briksza with some lands. Rudy picks up a copy of Cascade Bluffs. He'll pass the turn back. So I always feel like when you're watching Wescoe, you can certainly learn something about the game when you're watching him play.
Definitely. Very measured approach. I call these kind of Magic players the blue steel Magic. It's always the same move. You know, like he's been rebuilding the same deck now for the better part of a decade. But he does mix it up from format to format. He's not playing the same 75. In Grand Prix Detroit, he had a very deep run with a Boros beatdown strategy, which is a lot of the same stuff. Some of the creature disruptive, you have a solid curve, but he's in a very different place in this tournament.
Kitchen Finks here for Wescoe. You saw Briksza pick up a copy of Splinter Twin. Maybe making that Lightning Bolt play, as you mentioned, a little bit hasty.
Yeah, I just think that Rudy did not value the Deceiver Exarch as highly as I would have. And now the game is sort of collapsing here. Rudy had a pretty promising start here as well, but the discard spells and Wescoe's mana efficiency has been really punishing on Rudy thus far.
Copy of Kasali Pride Mage pre-combat, which means that Kitchen Finks will be a little bit bigger as it works its way into the red zone. Briksza will draw cards, a copy of Tasigur. Going to delve away the whole graveyard, I imagine, here, or at least most of it. With the mana to activate Tasigur as well. Going to leave, looks like Deceiver Exarch, an Olivia, and a Pyroclasm in the graveyard. At least that's what Briksza's considering doing. And he will. There's an Island and a passing of the turn. Last card in hand for Rudy is a copy of Splinter Twin. Let's go with Path to Exile in hand at the ready for Tasigur. He's going to use that right now. We'll get an activation of Tasigur. 2 cards will be turned over. Bloodstained Mire is 1. Looks like Watery Grave or Polluted Delta. The artwork is similar as 2. Either way, it's a land. They don't really work their way into the equation.
Rudy with a pretty threatening graveyard right now.
Yeah.
Deceiver Exarch could yield a kill, and Pyroclasm and Olivia are very potent against Craig's board right now. I believe Wescoe's last card may be Deceiver Exarch. Oh, excuse me, maybe Abrupt Decay.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, he's got a great answer to the Deceiver Exarch.
And also, just at this point, has Casali Pride Mage on the table to take care of Splinter Twin, too.
Yeah.
So you really have to like Wescoe's positioning here. He's got a pretty good clock. Got an answer in hand for the combo. And he gets to draw a card every turn.
A great mixture of straightforward disruption, like the discard spells and removal spells, backed up by threats that are themselves disruptive. Kitchen Finks is good against the removal spells, and Casali Pride Mage does a lot of work to muck up the combo.
Wescoe will untap. He'll take a draw step here. Got an Abrupt Decay in hand. Looks like he may have picked up a copy of Path to Exile. Either way, he's coming in for 5 points of damage. Briksza are going to go down to 9. Lightning Bolt to draw here for Rudy. He'll pass the turn back very quickly over to Wescoe. Wescoe will take a draw step. Didn't get a great look at it. Looks like it may have been a basic forest. He'll play that as his land for the turn. Lightning Bolt going to go after the Pride Mage. Briksza down to 6. Here's a copy of Deceiver Exarch. Looks like he'll be tapping down the Godless Shrine. Wescoe will let that resolve. Briksza will draw a card, copy of Grim Lavamancer. He's going to go for the W right now. No time like the present. Wescoe does have Abrupt Decay for that. He'll use that. Here is Grim Lavamancer.
Lavamancer's not a bad consolation prize for Rudy. Obviously, that 2-for-1 there is pretty painful, but Lavamancer, Rudy's graveyard's pretty stocked, and Wescoe doesn't have a lot going on besides this Kitchen Finks.
There's a Path to Exile. Take care of the Grim Lavamancer.
Never mind.
Wescoe's last card in hand right now is just a land. Rudy, well, he's out of cards, so this is a big draw step for him. He draws a card like Tasker. Life's pretty good.
Yeah, no, he can still claw his way back in this game, absolutely.
And heck, he could even run a runner, Deceiver Exarch, or Pestermite into Splinter Twin. Either way, we're going to find out right now what the draw step is. He's reaching for the graveyard. Perhaps Snapcaster Mage here? He'll pass. Wescoe just going to draw. He'll attack. Kolaghan's Command. That's going to leave Rudy in this thing. Looks like he might be getting back Olivia Voldaren. Okie dokie.
Yeah, this card at this stage, with Rudy having the amount of mana he has available, tough card for Craig to beat.
Man, Wescoe looks like he might be out of gas here. Pestermite the draw now. There is Olivia. Pass a turn back. Wescoe going to sacrifice maybe the Windswept Teeth. We'll see. Looks like he'll just take a draw step instead.
All right, this card is outside of Abrupt Decay range. 2 Path to Exiles in the main deck for Craig, 2 more on the board. Unclear how many he has at this point.
You don't kill Olivia, it just takes over the game and then just wins the game.
Rudy's got 7 mana, and Craig is out of threats. And he can't cast his threats one at a time because they just get immediately stolen.
Olivia's going to finish off Kitchen Finks. Time to untap and take a draw. Sulfur falls the draw there for Briksza. Olivia's going to come in here for 4 points of damage. Conveniently a 4-turn clock here as well, so Wescoe's going to go down to 12. As you mentioned, Wescoe really just can't play a threat. Because if he does, he gets shot, turned into a vampire, and then Rudy takes it from him.
Yep.
And that's the big problem right now. Wescoe drew a copy of Noble Hierarch.
And now, if Craig doesn't play anything, which seems likely, Rudy can deploy Pestermite, tap whatever, and that's a 2-turn clock.
Yeah. 12 to 6, 6 to none. Wescoe feels as though I have to do something. He'll play a Tarmogoyf. Shoot that. Looks like he's going to take that. Tarmogoyf right now is a 5-power creature. A lightning bolt to draw, and that's probably going to put a close to this one. Some very fortunate draw steps here for Rudy Briksza. But it looks like he's going to be able to slide this through. That lightning bolt's going to get the job done. He'll take down Craig Wescoe 2-1. Grixis win will take care of Obzon Company. Olivia Valderin going to take care of things, but really that Kolaghan's command, that was the big draw, of course.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Craig did a pretty good job of containing Rudy's threats. Olivia is a challenging card for him to beat, and at that stage he was just stripped of all of his remaining resources. He flooded out a little bit there, and Olivia at that stage of the game is going to be really hard for a deck like Craig's to overcome.